To all Americans, no help is coming on illegal immigration. That's the sobering truth we dispense in tonight's preamble. First, to Texas Governor Greg Abbott's announcement yesterday.
To help local officials whose communities are being overwhelmed by hordes of illegal immigrants who are being dropped off by the Biden administration, Texas is providing charter buses to send these illegal immigrants who have been dropped off by the Biden administration to Washington, D.C. We are sending them to the United States Capitol, where the Biden administration will be able to more immediately address the needs of the people that they are allowing to come across our border.
Okay, as you saw yesterday, I literally applauded this move by the Texas governor. Today, I learned there was a big caveat to the governor's announcement. In a letter to Chief W. Nim Kidd from the Texas Division of Emergency Management, Governor Abbott laid out all the damage being done to Texas communities, Latino communities in particular, courtesy of Democrats' illegal immigration disasters. Then Abbott went on to detail that the effort to relocate illegal aliens released into Texas by Obama's third term, using Joe Biden's name, that the relocation to Washington, D.C. would, quote, be voluntary. When I inquired about why it was voluntary to illegal aliens, I was told that under the law, forcefully taking illegal aliens to a destination would be considered kidnapping. Little did I know that every time a police officer hauls a criminal to jail, that officer is guilty of kidnapping. Now, not to put too fine a point on this, but Americans don't even want to go to Washington. Who wants to go to a disintegrating city where the cops allegedly refuse to investigate whether full-term babies were born alive and then slaughtered because law enforcement doesn't want to sully the good name of abortion on demand? What illegal alien worth their salt would voluntarily go to that godforsaken city? I'm told the buses depart today from Texas. We'll see how many illegal aliens are actually on them. This is just the latest in nearly half century of efforts that claim that something is being done to stop illegal immigration, when in fact, nothing could be further from the truth. Here's a sample of the Texas Democrats who are supporting Joe Biden's policies that are destroying Latino communities along the southern border. I'd ask leftists like Sheila Jackson Lee, Al Green, Colin Allred, and Mark Vesey, what do you have against Latinos anyway? Why do Texas Hispanics deserve your pro-illegal immigration policies, leading to shortages of supplies, higher crime, China virus positive illegal aliens being released into our unsuspecting communities? What did Latinos ever do to you left-wingers anyway? Now, the GOP is nearly as bad. Recently, Republican senators stepped in front of the microphone to call on Joe Biden to recognize the harm he's doing to Americans with our open borders. These senators know, or at least they should know, that Joe Biden's puppeteers are well aware of the damage they're doing. In fact, hurting America is the point. But all these Republican senators could do is prattle on and pray that you Americans out there don't remember it was the GOP that colluded with Democrats to craft these vacuous and silly asylum and immigration laws that were never designed to stop illegal immigration, but in reality, make sure that illegal immigration continues unabated, no matter how loudly the American people demand illegal immigration stops. When an illegal alien sets one little pinky toe on U.S. soil, all manner of rights and assistance are granted them as a reward for breaking our laws. Republicans and Democrats made those laws to make sure that was the case. Under American asylum laws, all an illegal alien has to do is show up to the border, claim that a threat to their lives exists, and they are, by law, welcomed in and given a promise to appear in court. The vast majority of these people disappear into America. They never appear in court, never to be heard from again. Those who do show up for their hearings, over 80% of them are found not to qualify for asylum. The majority of Americans despise illegal immigration. That's one of the big reasons why President Donald Trump got elected, remember? A majority in Congress, however, regardless of which party is in charge, supports, codifies, and legislates against the will of the American people on the issue of illegal immigration. In short, the swamp loves illegal immigration and will keep it going, no matter what their voters say. A word to President Trump. I'd think twice before hitching my wagon to Republicans. as Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski just demonstrated, by voting for Judge KBJ's values? The term Republican has no meaning anymore. No longer do Republicans stand for a certain set of principles. President Trump, do me a favor. Go read the Republican platform. Now, it sounds great because it's based on conservatism. Then consider how many Republicans actually live up to that platform. With names like Cheney, Sass, Kinzinger, Romney, Murkowski, Collins, and Upton, just to name a few, I think you're going to find, Mr. Trump, a sizable chunk of Republicans have more in common with socialists than they do constitutional conservatives. Even though the biased press wants us all to forget, Americans, you don't have to tolerate illegal immigration. President Donald J. Trump and his administration of patriots put a stop to rampant illegal immigration. He proved it could be done. But after just 16 months of Biden and Democrat rule, we're seeing historic levels of lawbreaking, with actually the U.S. government aiding in the lawbreaking. But Joe Biden, Mitt Romney, Nancy Pelosi, and Liz Cheney and the rest will not pay the price for this lawlessness. You and your family, you will bear the burden. Listen to me. Illegal immigration is wrong. Illegal immigration is immoral. Illegal immigration is bad for any population forced to endure it by its political class. At this point, no help is coming on the illegal immigration front, no matter how we vote. The solution? Stop electing the same people who have betrayed the American people on the border for decades.